Hello, this is Brandon Weekly with Microchip, and in this video we're going to talk about rollback protection with the CEC1736X Trust Shield. This is one of the many security features offered by this part, which are also covered in other videos in this Chiptorial series. If you'd like to follow along, you can start by downloading Trust Platform Design Suite for free using the link in the description. Rollback protection addresses the simple threat vector of somebody using your own code against you. Imagine you have a platform in the field that's been provisioned with code and associated images that it can legitimately and securely boot from, but you come to find that the code itself has some hole in it that a malicious party is able to exploit. You update that code in the field, but the previous version was signed using legitimate private keys that you're still using. How is it that you can prevent somebody from rolling back to that previous version and continuing to take advantage of the exploit? As an example, let's say that you have a system in the field that's had several different firmware patches since its launch, but only in the most recent one did we discover that the code's had a security flaw that's been present all along. Now a potential malicious party has several different entry points or versions of the code that they can roll back to, from which to compromise your system in some way. The way that the CEC173x prevents against this type of attack is we can uniquely identify each of these firmware images so that during the secure boot process, not only do we have to establish a legitimate digital signature, but we have to check to see if the ID that's being presented hasn't been previously banned. So we can gather a list of the versions of the code that we no longer want to be considered legitimate anymore, and even if they have been provisioned using the correct private key, they won't be allowed to run because we have protected against the rollback of that code. So you see in this example, the previous three versions of the code are no longer valid. We can no longer roll back to them, and the current version is the only one that we accept. To enable rollback protection for the CEC173x in a provisioning package, we'll start by opening Trust Platform Design Suite, and we'll navigate to our Configurators tab. We'll then find the CEC173x TrustFLEX configurator under the TrustFLEX column. Here we'll want to enable rollback protection, so we'll start by clicking on System Configuration here on the top left. We'll scroll down and ensure that rollback protection here is checked. We'll then click on Rollback Protection here on the left side. And here we're greeted with a transaction diagram that gives us a bit more technical information as to how rollback protection works in the field. One thing of note, if you scroll down to the bottom of this, it talks about auto rollback versus manual rollback. The difference here is that with auto rollback, whenever you push a firmware update to your system, it will automatically prevent the rollback to any previous version of the firmware. So the only legitimate one is going to be the current one, and whatever golden images you have provisioned. With manual rollback, you can check which versions of the firmware you want to be illegal in the future. So you can make it so some of the versions will work, but others will not. So you have that freedom to customize it there with TrustFLEX. Now we close the transaction diagram, and here in TPDS, this is a simple one. We simply select whether or not we want to enable this feature of rollback protection and select whether or not we want auto rollback or manual rollback, as we just explained. Once you have that checked, you will then have it in your provisioning package that you're going to use this, and you will be able to prevent against somebody exploiting your code by finding a hole in a previous version and compromising your system that way. Thank you for watching this video on rollback protection with the CEC173x. Check out the links in the description for resources including where to download the free Trust Platform Design Suite software. And take a look at the other videos in the Chiptorial playlist to find other ways that Microchip can help you enhance the security of your platform.